Now, before we start today, I'd like you to take a nice deep breath in, hold it at the top, and then sigh it out. And I want you to feel your body relax. Now you're out of your head and present in this moment. I'd like you just to slow down and listen, not with your head, but with your heart and your soul. What if the thing holding you back isn't a lack of knowledge? What if it's the fact that you're constantly looking for more? More downloads, activations, more courses, more healings, more messages from the universe. And yet your life looks remarkably similar to 6 months ago. Today, I want to challenge something that has become very common in spiritual spaces. The belief that the next piece of information will finally change everything. Because sometimes the problem isn't that you need more. Sometimes the problem is that you're not using what you already have. Now, I've seen this in clients. I've seen it in workshops. And if I'm honest, I've seen it in myself at times too. There were periods when I was constantly learning, reading books, attending courses, watching videos, taking notes. And every new piece of information felt exciting, like I was moving forward, like I was growing. But eventually I had to ask myself a difficult question. Has my life actually changed because of this? Not my knowledge, my life, because there is a huge difference. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to welcome you. Welcome back. Glad you found me, and thank you for your subscriptions, your likes and comments. They really do keep me going. Now, as my thank you to you, on my website there is a free download for a 5-minute grounding reset. I'll put the link in the description box and one at the end of the video. So many people have become collectors of spiritual knowledge. Now they can tell you what chakras mean, manifestation techniques, energy healing systems, soul contracts, nervous system theory, spiritual laws. But when life gets difficult, they don't use any of it. Knowledge that isn't applied becomes entertainment, not transformation. Years ago when I was starting out, I attended a workshop where the facilitator said something that really stuck with me. She said, you don't need another technique. You need to use the one you already know. At the time, I felt a bit confused because wasn't she there to teach us something new? I certainly didn't believe I knew enough, and definitely I needed to know more. But ultimately she was right. The problem wasn't knowledge. The problem was consistency. One of the biggest dangers of learning is that it can feel like growth. You finish your workshop and you feel inspired. You watch a video and feel empowered. You receive a reading and you feel validated. You experience a powerful meditation and feel expanded. But inspiration is not embodiment. Feeling something is not becoming something. Now, many people are secretly searching for the spiritual shortcuts, that instant activation, that magical breakthrough, the one session that fixes everything, the one frequency that changes their life, the one download that suddenly removes all the fears, the self-doubt and resistance. It sounds appealing, but real growth doesn't work that way. Real growth is an inside job. Now, I see people constantly chasing downloads, messages, signs, visions, intuitive hits, and guidance can be valuable. It opens awareness and expands perspective. But here is the real question you need to ask yourself. What did you do with the last one? Not the next download, the last one. What changed because of it? What did you actually apply in your life? Because if nothing changed, you don't need more information, you need integration. A download creates awareness, a healing can create release, an activation can open possibilities. But none of it creates embodiment. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Embodiment happens when you repeat what you know as action. Having those real conversations, in real decisions, in boundaries, under pressure in everyday life. Not once, not when it's easy. Repeatedly when it costs comfort. Now that's where transformation happens. Everything else is just insight without change. And I will often ask people, can you stay grounded when someone triggers you? Can you regulate your nervous system when life gets difficult? Can you trust your intuition when the answer feels uncomfortable? Can you maintain boundaries when someone doesn't like them? Because that is the test. Not what happened in meditation, not what happened in a healing session. It's what happens when life applies pressure. Now, imagine having a garage full of tools, hundreds of them, the best tools money can buy. But every time something breaks, you go out and buy another tool instead of using the ones you already own. At some point, the issue isn't a lack of tools, it's a lack of application and applying what you've got. Many people have spiritual toolboxes overflowing with resources that they simply aren't using. So why do people keep looking for more? Because implementation is uncomfortable. Learning feels safe. Action feels vulnerable. Information feels productive. Change requires responsibility. When you implement what you know, you can no longer hide between preparation. Now you have to face the fear, the uncertainty, failure, growth, and that's where real transformation begins. Now, this may challenge some people. Your soul is not waiting for another activation. Your soul is waiting for embodiment. Your soul is waiting for you to trust yourself, act on your intuition, follow through, stop abandoning yourself, bring your awareness into daily life. Your soul develops through experience, not endless preparation. Now, this is the process I encourage people to follow. So step 1, learn one thing, not 10, one thing. One insight, one practice, one truth. You've probably already got one. So step 2 is apply it immediately. I want you to ask, how can I use this in my life today? Not someday, today. And then step 3 is I want you to observe the results. What changed? What worked? What didn't? What resistance appeared? Now, step 4 is the most important one. You need to adjust. You need to refine the practice, improve it, adapt it so it works for you. And then step 5 is I want you to repeat until it becomes part of who you are, not something you know, something you live. So let's say you learn grounding. Most people stop there. Great technique. Instead, day 1, practice grounding. Day 2, ground before a difficult conversation. Day 3, ground before making a decision. Day 4, ground when triggered. Day 5, ground when anxious. Now, grounding becomes a lived skill, not just a concept. You are applying it to your life. People often want expansion. More intuition, more connection, more awareness. But expansion without integration creates instability. The body can't hold it. The nervous system can't hold it. Your life can't hold it. And you wonder why things don't stick and don't work. That is why implementation matters. Integration is what allows expansion to become sustainable. You do not need another download. You don't need another activation. You don't need another piece of spiritual information. Not right now. What you need is to use what you already know. To take one insight, one practice, one truth, and apply it consistently. Because your transformation will not come from what you learn. It comes from what you embody. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what is one spiritual, emotional, energetic, or personal development tool that I already know, but I'm not using consistently? Just choose one. Commit to it for the next 7 days, because real growth doesn't happen when you learn something new. It happens when you finally live what you already know. So put those tools into application. Put a comment in. I'd love to see how you get on, what you find, where you suddenly make sense of it all. And I'll catch you on the next video.